the Ron and Brian Podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday night. It is 8 o'clock. It is time for episode 257. I am joined, as always, by my friend, by my compatriot, by the man who can make the bad guys good for a weekend, Brian. Brian, how the hell are you today?
Oh, Ron, I'm feeling great. It is a special Tuesday night. I think we can, we don't need to pretend that this is Sunday evening. We don't do that. We don't lie to people.
No,
we are straight up. We tell the truth. We are, we fact checked others. We don't need that done to us. So here we are Tuesday night because, Mother's Day is a special day.
Sacred, if you will.
I know that this is that Mother's Day is a difficult day for you and I. From a personal perspective, neither of us are in a position anymore where we can pick up the phone and wish our mothers a happy Mother's Day. We say it quietly within our heads, but I think that in a true sign of how gracious Ron and I are, we put our personal grief aside on Mother's Day, and we make it about all mothers, single mothers, married mothers, mothers of furry children, fur babies.
Oh, okay.
They're still mothers. They are mothers. We respect those who identify as mothers. And we look at the calendar at the beginning of the year, and this past Sunday leapt off the pages as we looked at ourselves and said, there's no way that we would be honoring all women by performing our award-winning podcast on Mother's Day. So, Ron, if I'm not correct, I said to you, okay, well, I guess we'll just have to do it on Monday, the day after. And you cut me off instantly. You said, no. We believe that all women are such amazing, wonderful beings on this planet. We need to give them another day.
One day wasn't enough, Brian.
No.
Wasn't enough.
Nope.
Hands down. Well, now it is Tuesday. It is time to get into the show. And as always, we start off with
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Who's?
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking this week?
Oh, I went deep. Went deep, and I found me a Harp Lager.
Nice.
A lot of people sit there and say that this is a fine Irish beer. The only true place one may obtain a true Harp Lager is within the rolling fields of Ireland.
Sure.
Okay, we'll go with that. I, on the other hand, found this in my local Costco a couple weeks ago. It's a Euro Pale Lager. This golden amber colored lager offers slightly sweet malt aromas with some floral hop scents. It's medium bodied with a creamy mouthfeel, a good anytime lager coming in at 4.5 ABV with 21 IBUs. Beer Advocate gave it a score of 75, but we're giving it a score of Ron and Brian. Here I am about to enjoy a very special glass.
What's that on your glass right there?
Is that a Ron and Brian podcast
pint
glass?
Wait, what? Hold on. Does that mean I have one here also? Oh, it's a little tougher to see on my side, but yes, it is a glass etched Ron and Brian drink of the week glass. We will be our initial run of 50,000 sold out very quickly.
Yes.
So we will be doing another order shortly. So keep your eyes on our web store. But Brian, more importantly, how is that beer?
Delicious. I believe, if feel free to fact check me on this, Matt.
Okay.
But I believe you're not. Why would you say okay?
He's here with me. He nodded.
Oh, okay. He's no longer in rehab.
He's here working hard tonight, so we'll see. We'll see how well he does.
You know what? Let's try and get him onto the show a little bit later, not
Okay.
now. Let's see if we can get him on the show because I believe I'd love to. I have some questions for him. Episode 247, I believe I enjoyed myself a harp lager, but I brought it back this week.
All right.
Just delicious.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Nice.
Ron,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes, my friend.
what are you drinking?
So, Brian, what's better than supporting a local company, Brian?
I have supporting a local woman-owned or minority-owned brewery.
I mean, also good. I was going to say supporting two local companies, Brian, which is what I am doing this week with this collaboration between Neshaminy Creek Brewing and Rita's Water Ice. That's right. It is the first beer in the Rita Fruit Brews line that Neshaminy Creek is putting out. This is their blonde ale with mango. Actually came out about a month ago. This is the first time I've had an actual opportunity to find it in stock anywhere. It is it's a 5% blonde ale. Again, look at that. It's a little hazy. It's definitely getting the scent of mango. So let's see how this is. It's not bad. I'm not, you know what it is? I'm not a huge mango guy.
No.
But I could definitely see on like a hot day, this would be very tasty, and especially if you're a fan of mango, I could definitely see you liking that also. So,
is it true that your wife likes mango? Because I heard that she likes to say, "Man, go make me a sandwich."
I mean, she says, "Man, go make me dinner" every single night. So you're not far off there.
And she deserves it because she is a queen and one of the mothers that we celebrate, not just on Mother's Day this year, but every day this year.
Very nice. Very nice.
Kudos.
Up next, it's our beef of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I have two.
All right.
First, I went away for the weekend, coincidentally, because I knew that we couldn't do the show on Sunday.
Right.
So I booked a trip.
Makes sense.
Went down to the Bahamas, lovely Paradise Island, right off of Nassau. NASA. Yeah, no, NASA. Right outside of NASA. First off, people who use FaceTime or other video conferencing software while in public.
It's annoying.
Without headphones.
Ooh, even more annoying.
The number of people, and I'm not going to lie here, they were all women because we support women here.
Okay.
The number of women that would sit by the pool and video chat with friends, family, whatnot, was wild to me. The number of times that I would hear somebody talking and then immediately follow. Yeah, that's right, girl. You know, that's what we're talking. Oh, it's so lovely. Literally, full-on conversation by the pool. You would think the pool would be a place you go to relax.
Rest.
No, not these people.
Disconnect a little bit.
The people I'm referring to, people who video chat in public, went down to the pool to have full-blown conversations.
That's no good.
But this is not my only beef of the week, because there's another person, and this is an individual woman that I'm about to talk, because once again, we support women here.
Okay.
Okay, so I made sure my beefs of the week are all women this week because I support women. I was one of the days, I believe it was Sunday morning, I was sitting by the pool. A woman and what appeared to be her daughter sat in the two seats to my left.
Okay.
And laid down, Southern accent. A couple y'alls were mixed in and whatnot, but it was definitely a Southern accent. The daughter started complaining about having to have taken her shoes off at the airport. And said, I don't know why we have to take our shoes off at the airport. At which point I was confronted with something that I'm going to say I almost started a fight with.
Okay.
Okay. The answer, the response that I would say this woman was in her 40s. She was not a particularly old woman. She wasn't in her 80s, and I could say was confused by history. She was not a particularly young woman who may have missed the 2000s.
Okay.
But she was old enough. Daughter starts complaining about having to take her shoes off at the airport, and the woman responds to her, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but everything I'm about to say was part of her answer. Well, that's because somebody from either Detroit or Chicago wanted free housing and free health care. So they got on a plane with some knives in their shoes, and now we have to take off our shoes to get on a flight.
Hold on. I need to let that amount of stupid just really sink in for a second.
And you know me in public. I love eavesdropping. I love people watching.
And you love yourself a good conspiracy theory.
I do. But I believe that this woman was referring to Richard Reed, who was known as the Shoe Bomber.
The Shoe Bomber, correct.
Who was I believe, a man coming from Pakistan who had filled his sneakers with explosives that filled his shoes with explosives,
right,
and tried to set them on fire using a lighter. Relatively, I would say within 18 months of 9/11.
Yeah, easily within that time frame.
First off, this comment you take off shoes. Any reference to Donnie Brasco that you can work in the first 13 minutes of the show, kudos to you, William Esquire. I sat there and she repeated it in different variations of how people just want free health care and they don't want to have to work for a roof over their head. And I was just like, lady, it's Richard Reed. He was a terrorist. He was from overseas. He tried to blow up an airplane. And I just so debated whether I should say something or not. And I was just like, my lady is to my right. I don't think you need to get into a fight. I don't know that I have the ability to communicate this thought that I'm having without being overly insulting.
Yeah, I think you would have been overly insulting. Would be my guess.
Mouth shut. I just kept my mouth shut, and I let the moment pass. But I was so amazingly irritated in that moment by the lack of knowledge, or in all honesty, it was the passing down of stupidity and lies to the next generation of Americans who are not being properly educated. She's from the South. We know Southern education is some of the lowest, in the country. And I really wanted to educate these people. And I just said, don't do it, Brian. Don't pick a fight, because you're going to say, are you fucking stupid? And I knew I was going to start with that line. But this was Mother's Day week.
Right.
And
you weren't going to lead with that.
We lift and support women. So I kept it to myself.
All right. Fair enough. Listen, this is why no one should be shocked in the amount of misinformation that's out there. Because how long ago was that? How long ago has someone had the ability to learn the actual facts about what happened?
Sure.
20 years.
Do you think Matt could look it up?
I'll talk to him during the break. And
here we go. Matt just texted me December 22nd, 2001. Literally 3 months after 9/11. Richard Reed boarded a American Airlines flight 63 from Paris to Miami. Miami, they should have just let the plane blow up. God damn it. During the flight, he tried to detonate his shoes, but he struggled to light the fuse. Crew members and passengers noticed, restrained him. The plane diverted to Logan International Airport in Boston, which, for those that remember, flight 91 or flight 11 with Muhammad Atta came out of Logan, ironically. So he's got a life sentence in prison. I believe he's at Supermax in Colorado. Ron,
I believe you are correct in that. Yes, sir.
What's bothering you?
So I have two also. I'll tell the long one first, and then we can finish with the short one, because I feel it'll it'll be a point of contention that you can relate to. But my first beef of the week involves my experience at Disneyland last week, and Matt's walking out of the room. I've been going on about this all day. He doesn't want to hear it anymore.
Can imagine.
So last week, as some of you know, I was out in Anaheim for a work conference, and on Wednesday night, they had a social event for the attendees, which was billed as like this night at Disneyland, which initially gave us the impression that like they had rented the park to us. And then again, this is going to come across, this is very first world problem,
Sure.
privilege type stuff. But anyway, just first roll with me here. So they made it seem like they had rented Disneyland for us and that we would just have free run of the park,
Sure.
which is like, all right, this is fantastic. You're not going to have to wait in line,
Sure.
food, drink, the whole 9 yards. So then like some of the details start coming out during the week. It's like, well, the event's from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., but other guests can be in the park till 9 p.m. So for the first 4 hours, there's going to be other people in there. And, oh, well, it's not really Disneyland. The tickets are for Disney California Adventure, which is like if you haven't been to Disneyland in California, you've got like this middle section that's downtown Disney, which is like shops, restaurants. You don't need a ticket to go there. And then on one side is Disneyland. On the other side is this Disneyland California Adventure, which is the smaller park. Our tickets only got us into Disney California Adventure.
Really?
Yes. And then to find out.
So your beef of the week is that you didn't.
Oh, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I'm still going up. So we have the ticket to go in there. And then they give us a $25 food card. So it's not like we have food specifically set up anywhere in the park. You just basically get like a Disney food card and you can go to like a food truck or a restaurant in there. Alcohol not included, which poor form, personally speaking.
Sure.
So we actually they had a Ballast Point Brewing in downtown Disney. So we went there first, pregame there a little bit, went into the park. First ride we come across is Guardians of the Galaxy. And people are like, oh, let's go on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. It's like a 50-minute wait in line, which then, because the ride actually broke down, became like an hour and 20-minute wait. So we get on it, and all it is they took the old Tower of Terror ride and just rethemed it as Guardians of the Galaxy. When I tell you that ride was maybe 2 minutes long after waiting almost an hour and a half. So we get off the ride.
Your wife had the similar complaint most recently. She said she waited for an hour and 50 minutes, and then it was a 2-minute ride.
Understood.
So keep going.
Then we get out and we're like, all right, well, let's go get something to eat. So we're walking by. There's like a shawarma cart. Perfect. Love some chicken shawarma. Oh, we're out of food.
Beg your pardon?
Out of food at Disney. Go to another place. Oh, no, we're out of food. So like half the places we went to were out of food, which meant that the places that did have food, when you got up there, it was like an hour wait to get food.
Okay.
So it was
did you say an hour wait to get food?
To get food, correct. Because the lines were so long at the places that actually had food available.
Okay.
And then people would oh, well, let's go on a roller coaster. I don't do roller coasters, whether there's a 5-minute line, 50-minute line. At this point, I'm just aggravated. And I'm like, you know what? You all have a good evening. I'm going to go home. So I went, grabbed a Wetzel's pretzel, which was the best part of my evening.
You flew all the way to California so you could eat another pretzel.
and called it a night. But it was not enjoyable. I can't imagine. And again, this was a Wednesday night off-peak season, and the park was filled to capacity. Thank God the pandemic's over, Brian. But what was even more amazing is I had gone back into downtown Disney to get my pretzel. I'm walking out to get my Uber, and now it's like 10 after 9, where they're kicking everybody out that isn't part of the conference. So all I see is a wave of humanity exiting California Adventure, going across the plaza into Disneyland. It was amazing. I've never seen. It was like the Trail of Tears, Brian. It was very, very similar. So that was my Disneyland experience. My other smaller beef just happened earlier this evening, and I will ask you this
another comment that your wife has made about your smaller beef.
I will ask you this question, Brian.
Sure.
Is there anything, or I should say, are there many things less disappointing in life than getting an undercooked pizza?
Ooh. I see. I think you're hitting something here,
Yes,
because would I would rather have an overcooked pizza than an
exactly.
undercooked. There is
Exactly.
absolutely, you know what it is. Also, it's a sense of lost potential.
Right.
Like there was still the possibility that this could be turned into a good pizza if it were left to cook. But an overcooked pizza is like, okay, we missed the opportunity here.
Right. Like we ordered a pizza tonight, half pepperoni, half cheese. I like myself my pizza,
Mhm.
my pepperoni, I should say. Open it up, and the cheese is basically just soup because it didn't cook enough to set, and it mixed with the oil. And in transportation, all of my pepperoni slid to like the edge of the pie. Like that's how loose it was.
Oh.
And it wasn't even cut properly. And that's the thing. They had to see how poorly this was baked the moment they tried to cut it.
You didn't take a picture?
I didn't take a picture. I was just
Okay,
like, I
that's
was
fine.
so
That's fine.
aggravated. But I know your respect for pizza is very similar to my
Yeah,
respect for
yeah,
pizza,
yeah.
and I would think this would be something that you would have problems with.
A disappointing pizza is something that I believe we've all experienced in different times, different ways, and I think it's important that it's important that we first acknowledge a good pizza. And
Right.
I know that there are certain that a lot of what makes a good pizza is subjective. Some things you may like, I may not like, and those things Matt may not like.
Right.
But the one thing that we can all agree upon is that an undercooked pizza is just a wasted. It is a wasted opportunity for a good dining experience. And I also think that is this a place that you have gone to before and that have done pizzas
This
properly?
this is this is our regular spot. What's even more frustrating is they've got like this rewards program.
Mhm.
This was our free pizza that we had earned after however
Oh,
many. And that always annoys me too because I over tip when I get the free
sure.
pizza. Like I throw an
Well, of course,
extra
'cause-
couple of
yeah,
dollars because I just feel like if I'm getting a free pie, I'm going to take care of the driver.
sure.
But that's it. That's
Ron, are you
my
distracted? I feel like you're distracted right
Sorry,
now.
my computer with all the notes started to do something crazy, so I had to shut that shit down. Did you at least call them and complain? I did not, because the reason I use this is because I can place an order online, so I do not have to deal with people. My main job in
Are you ordering
commerce.
from Domino's, you
No,
son
it's
of a
not from
bitch?
Domino's. It's just from our local pizza place. They've got like a little online store, and I just don't
Can
want
you
to.
put them on speaker and give them a call right now to complain?
They would. I don't even want to. I don't even want to do that because all right, they're normally good.
Yeah.
They had a bad night. Just aggravated. Just very
Yes.
aggravating.
Yes. What was your best pizza experience?
My best pizza experience. I mean, we had a place near the old house called the Vault, which was a brew pub, and they had like a big
Wasn't that an
wood-fired.
S&M club down in Lower Manhattan back
And they
in?
had a big wood-fired oven, and they used to do
Mhm.
they do pizzas there that are pretty stellar. They had a margarita pizza that I'd say number one. Nothing else compares.
Number one, nothing else compares. My best pizza experience was the day of Hurricane Sandy,
Really?
because I was living in Midwood, Brooklyn, home of the famed DeFara's Pizza, which was it was high up on every hipster's list, and this was
Okay.
when they were still hipsters before they were referred to as millennials or Gen Zs. But I moved to that neighborhood, and everybody was like, "Oh, you got to go to DeFara's. You got to go to DeFara's." And the first time I went, I remember I waited online over an hour for a pizza. And it was one of those things where you've sunk enough time in that you
Right.
can't just walk away.
Well, exactly.
So at the 20-minute mark, not realizing I had another hour, I sat there and was just like, I can't leave now. I've got to stay online. I waited over an hour for a pizza that was such a thin crust that by the time I brought it home 2 blocks away, had already cooled off. Outraged. And I bashed it. Everybody was just like, no. You got to eat it hot. You got to eat it there. Like when you get the pie, you step outside and you immediately start eating it. And it was, one of these, it was an old pizza maker. His name was Frank, I believe. I don't know if he was Frank DeFara. I don't think it was.
They're all named Frank.
But he had been making pizzas for like 30 years. Just to show you how good the place was, it was getting shut down by the Department of Health, I would say at least 3-4 times a year. And all that did was cement in the collective. Exactly. In the it was like, they were just like, rat droppings were found in the kitchen. And people were like, we don't care. It's that good. So what happened was, getting back to my best pizza experience, and this was a singular event, was that on the day of Hurricane Sandy, I was home. I was not planning on leaving the house. I remember at some point early on. Oh, really? Janelle disagrees with me. Shocked. Absolutely shocked on that one. Come on, Janelle. It's a good pizza. Anyway, so historically, hour-long wait, I wouldn't go there. I was like, fuck that place. It's not that good. Fuck it. So I waited online. Excuse me, I didn't wait online. So I would refuse to wait on the line. I would just walk by it. I would leave the neighborhood to get pizza. I would eat it there, come back to my neighborhood. So to make a long story short, on the night of Hurricane Sandy, I remember probably around 6 o'clock, my sister calling me, very concerned. She had been watching news reports. She's like, are you stocked up on food? I was like, no, what are you talking about? I was like, hurricanes don't come to New York City. This is lunacy. This is just complete paranoia. And she finally broke me down when she started. She's like, you got to have some bottled water. What happens if their water supply goes bad? I'm like, you're insane. Finally, I was like, you know what? I will go. I will get myself a case of water. So about 6 o'clock, I left the house. I walked a block to the local CVS. And as I was walking, every place is shut down. DeFara's was open. So I walked by. I noticed there was nobody inside except for the guy that was making the pizzas and his assistant. I believe it was his kid. I popped my head and I was like, you guys open? They were like, yeah. I was like, can I get a pie? And they were like, sure. And I was just like, okay, well, how long is that going to be? They were like, we're going to make it now. Like literally, it was nobody there. I paid, I think it was about $30 for a pie. That's just, that was like pre-inflation. We're talking, what was Hurricane Sandy? 1952, I believe.
About that, 53.
Yeah. And I got my case of water. I came back, and that was it. It was Dom from DeFara. That's right.
They're all named
Dom. Anyway, so I sat there with my whole entire pizza, my case of water. I don't know what I drank, but I didn't crack open the case. I sat there by myself and ate the entire fucking pie.
Nice.
By the second half of the pie, I stopped eating the crust. I just ate like the guts of the pie, and I just left the piece of crust. I ate that entire pie all by myself. And I'm going to tell you something. That was a really good pie. I'm not going to lie. It was just eating it right out of the oven.
Well, clearly that was the advice you were given was the correct advice. And
it was solid. That was a very good pie. And it wasn't worth an hour-long wait for a pie, sure, but it was worth the $30 when it's fresh out of the oven. That was my best pizza experience.
All right. Very good. Well, we've killed half the episode just talking about pizza. This is clearly going to be
we're just getting warmed up.
Just getting warmed up. So we want to let's get into our stories of the week, Brian. Before this show gets away from us, we have shows that just kind of jump out at us. We pin them. We put them up in the parking lot. And we make sure that we talk about them. Brian, what is your story?
I would like you to start.
Really?
And then because I'm going to come in with my feel good story of the month. I don't know whether you realize this, but I do a thing. Where once a month I do a story that's just going to make us all feel great about humanity.
Right.
And I would like to save that while you go first.
Understood. Well,
but I'm going to go get me a beer while you tell your story.
All right. You're going to understand just from the title why I made this the story of the week. The title of the story is "This is Why You Should Never Wear a Metal Butt Plug in an MRI Machine." And it is a story about some photos that were posted on Twitter. One being a text message of someone to a friend saying that a friend of theirs that's an attorney has picked up a client who is suing a sex toy company. Said client purchased a butt plug that was advertised as, quote, 100% silicone. Client wears butt plug to MRI appointment. Much to client's dismay, butt plug, in fact, has a metallic core. Butt plug is accelerated at the speed of sound up into client's chest cavity, described in memo as an, quote, anal railgun. Client survived with major injuries. And then there is a photo that goes along with it that we'll pull up on the screen right here. Now, the challenge to this story so far is that the media outlets that have run with it have yet to be able to check the validity, the veracity of it. But there is a posting on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration website from back in April of this year. This came out just a couple weeks back, this story. But back in April, there is a posting on the FDA website, an adverse event report about a woman someone getting injured due to a butt plug in an MRI machine. So it is very possible that this story could be factual.
If that story, first off, what I would like to, if somebody could explain to me is, am I looking down on somebody on their back or on their side?
That is
because
a good question.
I don't recognize the human body right now in its state. Like,
Right.
What is... this isn't an X-ray because there are no bones in the
Well,
shape.
This is from the MRI. So
we're talking soft tissue.
Allegedly, we're talking soft tissue. This is allegedly from the MRI.
You should see intestines. You should see muscles of some type. It literally looks like it's an empty area in there.
This is why, we have not really, unfortunately, been able to check the validity of it. But I not that I want people to get hurt, but I so want this story to be true. Because
why would you wear a butt plug to an MRI?
That is the exact question that has puzzled me since I've seen this. Regardless of whether you think your butt plug is 100% silicone or not, you would have to imagine that they're going to see that you have something in your rectum regardless.
See, I make sure that all my butt plugs are completely 100% metal, because the thing for me is that if the flared base isn't flared enough and it gets suctioned up inside of my rectum into my lower colon, I want to be able to take the high-powered magnet and attach that to my taint, my titanium taint, by the way, and have the butt plug get yanked, sucked outwards.
So we're getting some breakdown here from Joe. She's saying the liver is the white triangle on the left side, I guess she's saying, and then the bladder is the whitish ball on the bottom, I guess, kind of right there. So this would be, I'm assuming this would be the rectum, and then just kind of, because this has a very intestine-like look to it almost.
Yeah, we can't see your cursor, Ron. So if you're trying to, sorry. So this could be legit from a medical professional.
It's very possible. It is very possible. So, moral of the story.
I wonder whose MRI this could be. Oh, Janelle thinks that it's Dom, a friend of the show. Wow, Janelle with that's very harsh.
No, does she really think that? Who do you think it is, Janelle? Oh, now she's saying, and she's laughing about it. She's saying it's Joe, and she's laughing about it. Well, again,
very hurtful.
I would like for this story to be true, and we will keep following up on this until we can find out if it's true or not.
And if we are talking about stories that are true, I would like to take us to Texas, particularly Plainview Independent School District in Texas, particularly Plainview South Elementary School. So we are going to a elementary school in Texas. There was an incident earlier this week. Oh, there we go. That's the outside of the school. And one of the things that we have spent so many weeks in this country fighting is, drag queens that are endangering our children. That one of the things we need to do to keep our kids safe is to protect them from drag queens, to protect them from men that are dressing up as women, to read stories to them, because this is the most dangerous thing that could happen to a child at school. Well, here I am with my quote unquote uplifting story of the month to let you know that drag queens are not actually the most threatening thing that can happen to you in school.
What is
No,
it?
it's other children and school teachers not paying attention, because on April 19th at Plainview South Elementary School, a first grader, the parents of a first grader said that their daughter was forced to perform a sex act on another student in the classroom
Ugh.
as other students looked on, while one student recorded the horrifying assault on a school issued iPad. Word quickly spread amongst parents through social media that this event had taken place, that other students who had not been in the room at the time had been shown the video on the iPad. It took over a week before the school acknowledged that there had been an assault on a child. And I think what has allegedly happened, and what will be left up to a court to get involved in. The young girl told her family that a boy had exposed himself to her while in the lunch line at school. She later mentioned that a week before that incident, she was pulled under her desk and forced to perform a sex act on a male student. It was recorded by a third student on an iPad, and apparently the video was showed the young girl doing her best to fight off her attacker from underneath the desk. She was hitting him with a poetry book, screaming, let me go," until finally succumbing to the attack. People, your children in Texas are not going to be safe in school. What we need to do is stop children going to school. That is going to be Governor Greg Abbott's response to this. The story makes us all disgusted, because somehow this is absolutely not getting any traction on the conservative media. What they do want to talk about are drag queens who are more concerned with child literacy and reading to them books than anything else, while being accused of grooming. Meanwhile, children are being assaulted by other children, and the right will do nothing.
So your solution is to just tell kids not to go to school.
My solution is to keep school safe.
Okay. I mean, it's not a crazy suggestion you have there.
Also, my next solution is that we should pay teachers more. To me, it is criminal that teachers are regularly going out of their own pockets to pay for school supplies for their classrooms, especially considering the low salaries that they are paid, while Republican-led state legislatures are slashing education budgets all throughout this country. And somehow we are expected to continue the lie that this country is number one.
Listen, it reminds me of the story of that teacher from Detroit who loaded up their shoes with knives and got onto a plane. And that's why we have to take our shoes off when we fly places now.
All right, you son of a bitch.
Brian, can we have an actual feel-good story? Can we have one?
I don't have any.
All right.
Look, I think the last feel-good story I put up on the Google Doc was probably a year ago.
So you're familiar with the Netflix show Unsolved Mysteries? They brought the show back from the 90s, and they've had a couple seasons of it on Netflix now.
I want to say Richard Crennaugh. What was the guy's name?
Robert Stack.
Not even close, Brian. Well done.
Robert Stack hosted the initial show, but
Okay. Okay.
they brought it back. So I think it just finished up its second season in 2022. Well,
Okay.
Brian, a missing Illinois girl whose abduction was featured on season 2 of that show was found alive and safe in North Carolina after a stranger recognized her. Let's get a photo up here of the girl and her mother. On the right there, that is Kayla Umbahan. She was 9 years old when her mother, Heather, abducted her back in July of 2017.
No way.
They were missing for 6 years. Neither Kayla nor her mother, Heather, have been located until May 13th, when an employee at a Plato's Closet in Asheville, North Carolina, recognized the pair from the Unsolved Mysteries episode and alerted local authorities. The mom, Heather, has been arrested, is being held on $225,000 bond. Kayla, now 15, is in the custody of North Carolina Department of Social Services and is awaiting to be rejoined with her father, who has full custody, Ryan Iskirka. So, bad story that she was abducted, but
Of course.
feel good that after 6 years, I mean, that's crazy.
I listen. I think as much as you and I absolutely dwell on what's wrong with the world every now and then, it's nice to see that there was that there is a story that turns out well. I mean, especially so many times a child goes missing, and as much as you pray, if you are the praying type, to a higher power. As much as you pray that there is some good news at the end of the story, so often children are never found, or they're found dead, or killers are suspected but never proven. It's nice that this child will be able to live their lives, hopefully, as untraumatized as possible.
Hopefully so.
I wonder how this child would. How do you think? What's this kid's name?
Kayla.
Do you think Kayla would bitch right now if a pizza came to her that was undercooked?
I don't think so. I think that would not be the worst part of her day.
Do you think that if she was with her father right now, which I hope to believe she is, that she is, based on her hair and the way her mother looks, I'm going to guess, going out on a limb here, she's from the South.
Possibly.
Right?
Possibly.
She's from the South. They ordered, her and her father ordered a pizza. He was like, baby girl, what kind of pizza would you like? Well, he's sipping not a Bud Light, because he's not drinking Bud Light anymore. Nuh-uh. He's drinking himself a Coors Light because he's not aware of the Coors support
supporting
of
Denver Pride.
Sure. But he's ordering her pizza, and she's like, "Oh, Daddy, when I was held hostage by Mommy, all I wanted was a half pepperoni pizza. Can we get a half pepperoni pizza tonight?" And he was like, "Damn right, baby girl, you're gonna get yourself half pepperoni pizza tonight. So you can decide you're gonna have a cheese slice, then you're gonna have a pepperoni slice, and then you know what, baby girl, you've earned it. You've had a rough go. You can have yourself a third slice, and that could be either a pepperoni slice or a cheese slice, whichever you want. You can have anything you want, baby girl, because I love you. You're safe tonight." And then, bing bong. Matt, make a mental note. Get a doorbell sound effect for future episodes. Bing bong. Door goes off. She's like, Daddy, it's not our pizza. It's not our pizza. Yes, baby girl. You go have a seat at the table. Daddy's gonna bring you the pie. Then suddenly he takes the pizza from the delivery man, pays him with his EBT card, walks back over to the table, because everybody in the South is on welfare. And this is when JoJo accuses me of being sloppy, but I'm not. I'm just in a good mood. So then he brings over the pizza box, and it's from Jar Jar Binks Pizza. I don't know. It was the first thing that came to mind. And he opens up that pizza, and it's a soggy fucking mess. It's not even brown. It's a light tan, and all the cheese has just pooled into a mush and slid onto one side. And the pepperoni, it's all covered on 2 slices of the pie. It's not even spread out across the four. It's just angled down to one. And little Kayla looks up at her daddy and she goes, well, at least I'm not being kidnapped by mommy. Can you put this in the oven? And he's like, damn, baby girl, we don't have an oven. We heat things up on the radiator.
So this reminds me of remember when the delivery guy loaded up his shoe with pizza cutters, and that's why we have to take our shoes off when we get on planes now. Were you thinking I was going to stop you at some point during whatever it was you just did?
By the way, people, we are 45 minutes into this episode. I've not had dinner. I had a very big lunch. Very big lunch. I had salad, I had calamari, I had pizza, and then I had a bowl of spicy rigatoni.
Wow.
Company paid lunch. So my point being is that my stomach's on the empty side. I'm drinking. We're 45 minutes into it. We haven't even done After Dark. Okay. So for those people who are watching live and saying to themselves, wow, Brian seems somewhat out of pocket today. I wonder, like how much more is Ron going to let him go? Oh, Ron will let him go more. Why? Because we have After Dark coming up in a little bit over 45 minutes, Ron. Tell the people what After Dark is.
Well, that is for our Patreon subscribers at the bronze level or higher. If you go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, sign up, and it is exclusive Patreon content. We do about a half hour after this show. The final Sunday of every month, we do our pajama party. It's a full 1 hour where we let our Patreon subscribers join us live on air. So get on over there. You can join us After Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Let's move on to the next story. And this is actually a story within a story. The Washington Post had an article this week talking about how Trump media took an $8 million loan from a bank tied to a porn website and an unknown trust, and that they may end up with partial ownership of Truth Social. But what really jumped out at me in this article was someone who had bought a ton of this Truth Social stock. The gentleman's name is Tom Sass. He's a 40-year-old founder of a cloud computing startup in Chicago who says he twice voted for Trump for president back in October of 2021 when Digital World's merger announcement sparked a stock market frenzy. Sass bought nearly 1,200 shares at $70. So he's 84,000 into it at this point. Then while listening to investing YouTubers predict that the stock could go to 300, he felt a fear of missing out. He entered a market order to buy thousands more shares, expecting he would get them at $90. But the volatility of the stock led to a halt in trading. When the stock came back online, he said his order was unexpectedly filled, which means that he just didn't bother to cancel his order.
Right.
But that order was filled at the stock's all-time high, $175 a share, draining his entire account. All in all, he spent more than $516,000 in cash on Digital World shares, which trade now at about $13.
They're still worth $13?
They're still worth $13. Seems like a good buy because YouTubers are saying it can go to 300.
Well, YouTubers said it could go to 300. This was a while ago.
Yes.
Listen, I think that it's easy to jump to conclusions and to bash this person.
Okay.
And to, it's easy to ridicule them for stupidity. But I think you need to reconsider the mindset of the average investor back then. This was during the pandemic, peak pandemic, if you would.
Right.
There was so much excess money that the federal government was just printing. We were sending $600 a week to people so that they didn't have to go to work. There was so much money flooding the investment world that I can absolutely understand somebody being wrapped up in the hoopla of receiving stock advice, especially from somebody that they would consider a close friend who would never steer them wrong. Someone who would sit there at 6 cents a share and be like,
Stonks.
And that's our stock talk for the week. Brian, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But moving along to our next story. Again, not a lot of feel-good stories, and this one is right up that alley. Now, you would think a innocent childhood game of hide and seek, Brian, should be a feel-good story. It should be a situation where nothing goes wrong, except in Louisiana, where a man allegedly shot a 14-year-old girl in the back of the head as she played hide and seek with a group of friends on his property, telling police he opened fire after seeing shadows. This gentleman, David Doyle, age 58, has been charged with aggravated battery, 4 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, and the illegal discharge of a firearm. Now, Brian,
This is America. This is America.
What is one of the main, I guess, rules you follow when handling a gun?
Shoot first, ask questions later.
You don't shoot at anything that you're not 100% certain of what it is. He's just shooting at shadows, and he hits a kid in the head.
What state did this happen?
Louisiana.
He may walk. He may walk. I could see him walking. Listen. The alcohol's talking at this point. I'm not going to lie, people. I'm not going to lie. This country is an embarrassment when it comes to our gun laws. This country is an embarrassment with our bloodlust for the use of firearms. We have reached a point now where we are confronted with the heinous result of such lax gun control, especially compared to the rest of the civilized world, even the uncivilized world. You talk about countries that we as Americans like to scoff at, and they're safer. They are literally safer to walk down the street or play hide and seek on your neighbor's property.
Well, and look at, even just in the week since we did this show, we put these stories on, and a week ago we put a story on there about the Texas mall shooting, and now that's already run through the cycle because now everybody is looking at the New Mexico shooting that happened yesterday, where 3 people over the age of 70 were killed by just some 18-year-old walking around with an automatic weapon. And everybody's like, well, the police responded in 5 minutes, saved a lot of lives. You know what would have saved a lot of lives? A, not being able to put your hands on an automatic weapon, and B, mental health treatment in this country. It's like the Democrat political office where the people got attacked by a guy carrying a baseball bat.
Right.
This guy hand wrote a $1 billion lawsuit that people were like reading his mind and reading his mail. There's a guy who needs help. This guy
weighs in.
Not this guy.
Writing.
Different guy. Let me take this picture down. I got you confused there. But for the
doesn't take much. So a different guy was like, people are reading my mail, so therefore I'm going to go commit an act of violence.
So this was in where was it? I forget. Virginia, excuse me. So this was Representative Jerry Connolly's office. His staff was attacked by Xuan Cha Tran Pham, attacked a couple of staffers with a baseball bat. One of them, an intern who it was her very first day in the office.
Listen, that story does not fit the liberal media narrative because they wanted it to be a Southern racist white guy from Louisiana. But not all crimes are committed by Southern racist white males. Here's a Vietnamese national committing crimes, and suddenly that story's not national news.
Right.
What do we need? Do we need Robert Stack to literally talk about this story for people to care?
I think so. What about Richard Crenna? Because you were going to throw him in there before as well.
Put it down, Rambo. Damn it. The war is over. The war
It's
is
not
over,
over.
Rambo.
It's over when I say it's over. Oh, that's Stallone. What range? What range he has.
And at the same time, let's be brutally honest. First Blood is still an amazing movie.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It may have aged a little bit, don't get me wrong, but those scenes in the Northwest, it wasn't a jungle. What do you call it? The forest?
He was in like the flyover states. He was somewhere in the mountains.
He was in urban Portland. We all know it. We recognized it. I mean, the hippies were there with their patchouli oil and their unshaved armpits. It was all, that's the next First Blood movie. That's First Blood 6. Rambo takes Portland.
We went from gun control to praising First Blood.
Oh, this is going to be a fun After Dark, people. We got OnlyFans. We got porn stars to talk about. We got stuff that, like, I wouldn't want my mother to know I'm talking about. And, another Mother's Day reference.
Speaking of mothers, Brian, next story is a Utah mother who wrote a children's book about how to cope with grief after her husband's death last year. She is now accused with having poisoned him with a lethal dose of fentanyl after she served him a Moscow Mule, normally a tasty drink.
You love Moscow Mules.
I'm a fan. So this is Eric Richins and his wife, Corey. He died.
More like Eric Dyens.
He died on March 4th of last year after his wife had called 911 to report that she had found him unresponsive in their bedroom. She was arrested Monday on charges of aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Apparently, before her husband's death, she asked an acquaintance for something strong, quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff. According to a court document, the acquaintance got dozens of fentanyl pills for her. So she told investigators that the night before he died, they were celebrating because she had closed on a home for her business. She then made him a Moscow Mule in the kitchen, took it to the bedroom. He drank it sitting in bed. And then she woke up at 3 a.m. He was cold to the touch.
Hold on. Now, this could be a hot take, Ron. Just warning you.
I'm some of these takes have been way too hot, so I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie.
Just warning. Okay, now when she said that she wanted the Michael Jackson stuff, now it's easy to jump to the conclusion that she's looking for something that's going to knock her husband out in his sleep, such to the point where he dies without ever waking up.
Okay.
But is it not also equally plausible that she's looking to supply him with a level of fentanyl that would cause him to be sexually excited by a naked underage child who he would request to get on all fours naked and spread their butt cheeks open for his sexual gratification? I mean, we all watched that documentary on Michael Jackson. That was also Michael Jackson. I mean, it was also Michael Jackson's thing to write multi-platinum singles. I mean, what's to say that she wasn't also trying to get him the fentanyl to put in his system?
This time's gotta stop.
I'm not quite sure why she would have benefited from any of those other scenarios that you just described.
I can't. I would love to continue, but you cut me off, Ron.
I did.
We know the rule. Rule is that when Ron plays Eric Clapton, Brian has to stop.
That's right. Brian, new story just popped in, and I feel we have to share it. This is about a Polish businessman who has been arrested in Thailand after allegedly hacking his Ukrainian model girlfriend to death with a saw and then using Google Translate to ask for help disposing of her body. Alona Savchenko had checked into a condominium building in Bangkok's Bang Ko Lam district with her boyfriend, Jan Jersey Lagado Filippo. That's got to be a made-up name.
Sure.
And so apparently later that day, a taxi driver why do I take these stories with these names? Taxi driver Surachai Sababang went to the manager of the building and said that he had been hired by Lagodo Filipao to dispose of the body.
Question. Do you think at any point the United Colors of Benetton heard this story and they were like, listen, we got the Polish, we got the Ukrainian, we got Thailand. This is the story for our next advertising campaign.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. I will give you that.
Do you think he was a paid agent of Russia?
I can't qualify that. So this is what I'm going to do, Brian, because this is going to blow your mind. So
I'm listening.
I'm going to pull this person's photo up real quick, and I'm sure if you're listening, this is just fascinating to you right now.
Well, hold on. This is all the more reason to let people know that if you are currently listening to the audio version of it, you are missing out by not watching the video on YouTube. There is a video aspect. We do this show live on video. It is on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. We appreciate everybody listening to the audio, but there is something lost. I'm sure that anybody in the group chat right now would acknowledge it. That there is something great to watch. The visual cues that go on through the show, as well as watching this absolute demonic incel's appearance. This man.
So this is a photo. This is a photo of Jan Jersey Lagoda Filipao. So first off, Brian, would you like to guess how old this person is?
I'm going to say 24.
Wow, very good. 25.
He looks young. The thing is, he's losing his hair, but the actual face, there's very few wrinkles in. He has an abnormally large head compared to the size of his body.
He appears to have skipped arm day. Also, he was dating a model. He was lucky enough. A guy looking like this is dating a Ukrainian model. And
what was her name? Do we have her name?
Her name was Alana Sevchenko. That was the easiest name in the story.
Alana Sevchenko?
Yeah. So apparently this guy, Jan Jersey, got a taxi driver, initially said he wanted the driver to take him to any casino, but while in the car, Jan Jersey allegedly used the Google Translate function on his phone to ask the cabbie to help him chop up his girlfriend's body in exchange for $44.
$44.
I mean, that's probably.
Are you kidding me?
It's probably a whole dollar. Whatever the dollar translation is.
Listen,
it's probably more money in Thailand than it would be in the U.S.
Ron, we need to get out of this country. The cost of living in this. I mean, the very idea that you could hire a car for hire to help dispose of a body for $44.
But he didn't help dispose of it. He turned him in. So clearly that wasn't enough money.
Ooh. Question.
Yes.
We know that you were a famed taxi driver up in the Capital District of Albany back in the early aughts.
Okay.
How much would it cost for a fare if a man got into a car with a heavy piece of luggage? Well, she was a Ukrainian model, so I'm assuming it only weighed a model's weight. We know that they're all cocaine starved. But how much would it cost for you to drive that car into Cohoes, New York, off the highway, Route 11? I'm making that up. Such that the person could just throw the luggage out of the trunk and say, all right, let's drive away. And you would keep your mouth shut.
And this was the 90s. So, I mean, $44 back in the 90s might have done it.
There were a lot of motels on Washington Avenue that you could have rented a room and taken your lady of the evening to for some Ron lovin'.
Well, Brian, I think we're gonna maybe wrap this episode up. Let you get a little water in you.
Doing so well.
Maybe a power bar, and get ready for After Dark, which, as we said, is exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. Just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Thanks to all of you who joined in on Tuesday night. We will be back in just 5 days, back at our normal time on Sunday nights, 8 o'clock. That'll be just one weekend closer to Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
I know you're excited about that, Brian.
I'm excited right now about it. It's my favorite time of the year.
You just like the sound.
I love that sound. That sound, I can't help it. And I've said it every year that we've done it. We're going, I think this is our 17th year of Hot Podcaster.
I believe.
Summer, is that whenever I hear that audio, I think of you naked on all fours, making that noise while Mrs.
This time's gotta stop.
It was a little quicker that time. Actually, the first Hot Podcaster Summer was 2009. Get your facts straight.
Now, was that the year before or after Richard Reed?
I'm not sure. So, Brian, anything else? I'm frightened to ask. Anything else before we wrap up this episode?
No, listen, we've done a lot of stories about what's wrong in the world. And I think one of the things about this show reminds me of what's right about this world. I look forward to every week doing this show where I get to talk to you for an hour, joined by the friends of the show, William Esquire, Janelle, Jojo. Thank you for joining us. I hope you join us over for After Dark. You're missing out if you are not a Patreon. Some great stuff, great content, all behind the paywall. Helps us pay for some of the expenses that Ron and I incur on a regular basis, excluding Matt's rehab. You know, right. Ron, you and I have been very generous. We've been very generous over the years in paying for Matt's rehab. We've not used, we've joked about it. We've talked, we've kind of talked about people. Ali, I didn't even know you were there.
Matt just walked out again. He's
Hold on a second, Ali. You are a friend of the show. This is the first time you commented. I didn't even know she was there. Am I not correct? That's her first comment?
I haven't seen one from her previously.
Ali, thank you for joining us. We are, you absolutely are a friend of the show. I hope you join us for After Dark. I thought you would skip the episode this week. Hold on. I'm the only like on this video, so not friend level, I guess. Ali, don't take it that way. You are absolutely a friend of the show. Well, there are other friends of the show that I'm not going to name. Matt's a friend of the show, but he's not, I'm not going to name him. But I really walked myself into a corner here. Ron, take us out.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Patreon subscribers, we'll see you at the bottom of the hour. Everybody else, we will see you on Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you